So today's topic is the human rights and the fundamental rights. First of all, what are rights? The rights are the reasonable claims of the human beings which are protected by the law. So, if a person is having certain rights, obviously, if that rights are violated, he can move to any court of law which will make ensure that his rights are being assured that rights are not being violated. Why do we need rights for the people, or why do we call them as reasonable claims? For example, right to equality. Earlier or prior to the independence, Indians were not given the right to equality at all. Indians have faced many kind of atrocities of treated as second citizen of the same nation. Britishers were given high priority. They were not given equal opportunities for getting educated. The opportunities were denied in giving the jobs. Then also they were denied opportunities to get for them entry into any kind of political posts. The voting rights were reserved only for few people. So like this, there are many things which makes the life very difficult for them to survive. And if you go to the caste system in the villages, even today we have in many villages the caste system is still in existence, which makes the differentiation between the people. They say they are the higher caste, these people are the lower caste. So the lower caste people are treated as inferior by the higher caste people. So these kind of feelings, obviously he should not do anything equally to that person. They should not have common dining. They should not be entering into the public places or holy places of worship together. These kind of many things which are not legally ensured will obviously become very difficult for the people to get their rights or claims. So, in order to have the reasonable claim, they need to have the protection from the rights. So that protection will be given by the law of the land or the constitution. When obviously if the constitution is declaring that one, then it becomes very clear and evident for the people to fight for their laws, and that law will make their rights to be ensured for them, and nobody can violate that one. If anybody violates it, obviously it leads to the punishment for them. It attracts the punishment, whoever is violating the laws. Then the people would be scared and afraid to violate the laws. So these kind of benefits makes the rights to be valid and useful for a person to live happily. And as we have seen the generations fighting, starting from the glorious bloodless revolution of England, then we have seen the US War of Independence, and later we have discussed about the French Revolution of 1789. They equally claim the words of liberty, equality, and fraternity. These things obviously will make a human being to live as per his wish without harming others. There should be a liberty for a person to lead his life. There should be an equality of treatment in respect with the others. There should be the feeling of fraternity, of brotherhood relationships. Then only the nation can survive. The spirit of nationalism will be there. And people also can get the fruits of the government. But these all when a person is happy, when a person is having rights. If a person does not have rights, he is like a slave. He has to follow the dictats of what the government or the higher caste people or the boss of the office or any person who is heading him will automatically dictate certain terms and conditions for him. If he does not have any rights, obviously he will be a slave. So, as the struggle went on, Indian constitution, as soon as India got independence, they started to write the constitution by the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly has drafted a new constitution in abolition of all these kinds of atrocities, untouchabilities, inequality feeling, everything, and they have granted the fundamental rights equal to all irrespective of the caste, color, creed, race, sex, religion or any other part. This has made them to think positively by the constitution framers, and in future any of the Indian citizen should not face any difficulty in getting his rights. So they have enshrined them in the constitution and provided for them the authority that they can make their rights to be validated with the permission of the courts of laws. So the law will ensure them their rights. So these are known as the fundamental rights. Basing on the same fundamental rights concept, the United Nations, which was formed in 1945, has adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is in short form known as UNHDR, that is Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And all the member nations are the signatory members who obviously put the rights, and these rights, when a nation signs it, obviously they have to follow this one and ensure they follow it thoroughly. So UN, if the rights are violated in any place, UN would intervene in the middle and make sure that these laws are being validated in that place, and the human rights will be restored there, and every human lives peacefully there. So this UN Declaration of Rights made the other nations also to follow the same rules and regulations of human dignity, human equality in respect of all the other nations. As India is following the fundamental rights, US is following the Bill of Rights. In the same way, all the other signatory members would also follow the same rights, which ensures human beings are free and equal in respect to all aspects and irrespective of their caste, color, creed, race, religion, sex, or any other place of origin, or whatever may be the differences, or whatever may be the color, whatever may be the issue, but they all are human beings first. Later they may be belonging to different nations, different states, different regions. So this is the introduction of the human rights and the fundamental rights. What are the fundamental rights ensured in India? What are the special rights that are given to Indians, and what do they protect us, or how can we approach the court if any of our rights are violated? We'll find out. Fundamental rights in India. The fundamental rights in Indian Constitution has made it very clear that it has mentioned them in the part 3. The part 3 states very clearly that the rights which are mentioned in this part 3 are guaranteed for every citizen of a nation, irrespective of their caste, color, creed, race, sex, or any other things. Then moving on to what is the specialty of the fundamental rights mentioning in part 3. In case if the fundamental rights are violated of any individual, he can approach to either the state high court, or they can move to the apex court, that is the Supreme Court. If they feel their rights are being completely denied and violated and not guaranteed for them, it is the whole and sole responsibility of the government to ensure that these rights are being guaranteed to all the people at their house, in the place of work, or anywhere in the nation. So if any individual feels that his rights are being violated, obviously he can move to the state high court or the Supreme Court to file a petition and get its rights enshrined. If he is not getting rights enshrined in high court, then obviously he can go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has the authority to pass the directives to the state governments to ensure that the fundamental rights are being not violated at any cost. So this is really a fantastic strength given to the fundamental rights. So these are also known as basic rights. If the fundamental rights are not given this constitutional setup or law approval, obviously these laws would have become legal rights or some other rights, but would not have been called as basic rights. They are called basic rights because if anybody violates them, they can move to high court or Supreme Court and the laws